The king will be crowned on May 6 at Westminster Abbey, marking the first coronation in almost 70 years. However, the crown he will don has a long and complicated history. Having spent 9 years in exile, in 1661, King Charles II was invited back to London to restore his father's throne. 12 years earlier, Charles I had been executed at Whitehall at the climax of the English Civil War, and after being defeated by Oliver Cromwell in Scotland, his eldest son fled to Europe, thus beginning a national republican rule, known as the Commonwealth period. The political crisis that ensued after Cromwell's death, which saw his son Richard become Lord Protector but quickly resign, resulted in the restoration of the monarchy. Charles II arrived in London as King of England, Scotland and Ireland on May 29, 1660, his 30th birthday. The bleak days of Cromwell's Republican rule were eclipsed by regal festivities, culminating in the coronation just under a year later. Get the latest royal news straight to your phone by joining our WhatsApp community. Lengthy preparations for the coronation of the new king began, prolonged partly because a new set of regalia had to be made for the occasion. The previous set had been melted down when Charles I was executed, and when discussions were being had regarding what his successor may need, Charles II declared he wanted the full set. While the earliest surviving descriptions of an English coronation date from before 1000 AD, it wasn't until the reign of Edward the Confessor, the last Anglo-Saxon king, that the tradition of a single, sacred collection of regalia emerged. A crown, said to have been his, was used at the coronation of Henry III in 1220, and subsequently carefully preserved for future monarchs. Princess Kate, downgraded in coronation move to make Meghan the star. King Charles made Meghan Markle the star of the show in a surprising move ahead of the coronation, a body language expert has claimed. A photograph of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle alongside senior members of the royal family has been included in the official coronation program, despite the couple stepping back from royal life. The picture shows the Sussexes alongside Charles, Queen Camilla and the Prince and Princess of Wales and their children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. Body language expert Judy James told the Mirror Meghan is the standout star while the Princess of Wales looks downgraded. Find out more here. The collection soon grew to include an array of other regalia, including a golden spoon, a scepter, armrills and spurs. Some were used at every coronation for 400 years, until 1649, at the close of the English Civil War, when Charles I was executed and items from the royal collection were either sold or melted down and turned into coins. Charles II ordered the creation of new regalia, the majority of which make up a large portion of the crown jewels that can be seen today. St. Edward's crown is possibly the most notable piece of the collection, named after Edward the Confessor, who was declared a saint 100 years after his death. The crown is used solely for the crowning moment, meaning the upcoming coronation of King Charles III will mark its first official use in almost 70 years. Express.co.uk previously spoke to the jewellery experts at We Love Diamonds about the crown. They explained, this was originally commissioned by Charles III's namesake Charles II in 1661. This crown features close to 450 precious stones and is worth circa £60 million. It's most definitely one of the most valuable pieces of jewelry in the entire crown collection and is, specifically, only allowed to leave the Tower of London for coronation ceremonies. Weighing 2.07 kilograms, the crown is adorned as 444 precious stones, including aquamarines, topazes, tourmalines, rubies, amethysts and sapphires. The solid gold frame features 4 crosses patée and 4 fleur-de-lis. The 2 arches are surmounted by an orb and a cross, representing the Christian faith. After 1689, when William III was crowned, it was not used to coronate any monarch for over 200 years. But in 1911, the tradition was revived by George V and has been upheld ever since. The current King Charles' grandfather King George VI and mother Queen Elizabeth II were both crowned with St. Edward's crown, so it is only fitting the crown will be used at the reigning monarch's coronation in May. Due to the crown's immense weight, Charles will likely need to practice wearing it, and in December Buckingham Palace announced the crown had been removed from the Tower of London, where it is considered the main attraction of the crown jewels and usually kept under lock and key. In a statement, the palace said, "St. Edward's crown, the historic centerpiece of the crown jewels, has been removed from the Tower of London to allow for modification work to begin ahead of the coronation on Saturday, May 6, 2023. Don't miss. Harry should be a spectator wearing a morning suit at coronation." Latest poll: do you think the king should pay for the coronation? Poll: riot police called to manage Grace Kelly's overwhelming wedding. Insight: like the late Queen, Charles is expected to wear 2 crowns on the day of his coronation. Malta Cohn, a fashion specialist and creative lead at Trendheim, previously told Express.co.uk, the king is expected to wear 2 crowns at different points during the day. St. Edward's crown is only expected to be worn at the pivotal moment of the actual crowning, whereas the imperial state crown is worn after the coronation ceremony and when the monarch appears before the public on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. The imperial state crown also harks back to the reign of Edward the Confessor. It includes St. Edward's sapphire, the royal collection's oldest gemstone, which is thought to have been in the coronation ring of the Anglo-Saxon king. How the gem survived the English Civil War in the 17th century is not clear, but it is widely believed it was recut into its present form for Charles II after the restoration of the monarchy. These 2 crowns make up only part of the coronation regalia, considered the heart of the crown jewels, which are thought to have been associated with St. Edward. However, more mystery surrounds some of the other objects, with experts admitting that, despite their repeated use and clear historical significance, their purpose is largely unknown. Among them is St. Edward's staff, which was recreated even though no one was quite sure what it was for. Charles Ferris, a public historian for historic royal palaces, told Hello! Magazine, when the crown jewels were remade in 1660 and 1661, Charles II was being advised as to what he might need and what he might not need. When it came to St. Edward's staff, no one was quite sure what it was for and they almost didn't have one at all. But Charles II said, "No, I want the full set," and it was made, even though no one quite knew what it was for, and that is still carried in English coronations today. The coronation spoon, which is used during the anointing, the most sacred part of the ceremony, is the oldest object in the collection, having survived the Civil War and been hailed as the one real great survivor of the medieval regalia. However, as Catherine Jones, senior curator of decorative arts for the Royal Collection Trust, admitted, "We don't know its original purpose." As King Charles III's coronation on May 6 draws ever closer, preparations for the historic occasion are in full swing and the meaningful regalia is a key aspect. although elements of the coronation ceremony, from the smaller number of attendees to the nods to different faiths, have been updated to be in keeping with more modern times. Buckingham Palace has also stressed that the occasion is a solemn religious service and will be rooted in long-standing traditions and pageantry.
Now